Check this out, y'all. Christians are receiving 2 years prison time for sharing Bibles in the UK.
Christians in England could now potentially face up to 2 years in prison for handing out Bibles and praying for people. This shocking development comes from a proposed legal measure in Aldershot, Hampshire, where the local Labour-led council has attempted to identify Christian outreach as a public threat. A local Labour council in England known as the Rushmore Borough Council has sparked outrage after imposing an injunction that could imprison Christian street preachers for 2 years for causing offense and distress. This measure falls under a public spaces protection order, which is used to curb aggressive or antisocial behavior. In this case, the council attempted to expand its application towards street ministry. The council initially applied for the injunction in February, citing complaints of noise, public disruption, and distress caused by the street preachers. This report apparently came from residents and businesses nearby, although they never specified who. However, instead of targeting behavior that posed genuine harm or threat, the council specifically drafted restrictions towards Christian worship and preaching in public. Under the proposed terms, Christians would be banned for praying for people without prior consent, handing out religious leaflets or Bibles by hand, and even laying hands on somebody during prayer, even with their consent. The council's draft language classified these same activities under the category of harassment. This means even if somebody voluntarily accepted prayer, the physical act of laying on hands during prayer would still be considered a crime. It would also be a crime to hand out gospel leaflets and Bibles. The injunction also sought to prohibit approaching certain individuals in marginalized classes, which could be perceived as hostile activity. So if someone disagrees with a certain Bible verse being preached, this would be considered hostility and therefore a crime, which could result in fines, arrest, and up to 2 years in prison. After an intervention by the Christian Legal Center, street evangelists represented by the legal group have managed to temporarily halt the attempt. The CLC argued that this injunction breached the UK Human Rights Act, which guarantees freedom of religion and expression. This response made the council postpone its court hearing that would have sealed these terms. However, once the postponing period is over, the council will still proceed with this proposal nonetheless. Rushmore Borough Council still plans to revisit the injunction after they consult with local stakeholders, and the goal remains the same: to criminalize street evangelism. The UK, once known as the epicenter for Christianity in the Western world, is now persecuting the faith that founded their very nation. The country that produced the English Bible, trained missionaries, and sparked revival across the world is now using legal tools to suppress the very faith that they exported to the nations. 2 Timothy 3:12 warned us, "Indeed, all those who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." This warning is happening now. Christians in the UK are being told that their faith has no place in public if it's not approved by the government standards. As the biblical end times are closer than ever before, persecution towards the church will continue to rise. But despite legal threats and persecution, no human being can stop what God has ordained, which is the Great Commission that has already been set in motion. But geographically speaking, Great Britain must return to Jesus Christ and reject secularism, or they will no longer have a nation.